All right, all right. Welcome to the Strong Side Podcast. My name's Mitchell Black, and I'm your host. And today we have a wonderful, wonderful episode. Now, before we dive into this episode, which is 26, by the way, pretty pumped up about that. But I want to remind you guys that this podcast is always streamed live and weekly on our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages. You can comment in right now, and we'll see those comments, ask some questions. We'll reply to them as it's going. And if you could pretty please, with a big old cherry on top, give us a 5-star review on our Apple Podcast or Spotify or something. And if you like this podcast, dude, share it with a friend. That would be amazing. All right, look, we're 26 episodes in, and one thing that I'm really excited about is that every single person that we've had on the Strong Side podcast is a Strong Side member. There's some amazing stories here from some wonderful people, and we're going to get to share that and talk about it and have a great time, laugh a little bit, and it's going to be just fantastic. Today, I'm really excited to share with you our guest. Our guest is Miss Lisa Loiodice, which I really struggle pronouncing the last name, but you guys probably know their whole family, their son Dylan, her husband Charlie. They're all members here. It's just going to be an amazing story with a great time. So the title of our episode is No Excuses Allowed. So, Lisa, how you doing today?
Good, thanks. Thank you for having me.
You have to get a lot closer to that mic.
Okay. How's that?
There you go.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited you're here. I love you guys. This is such a great conversation. I've been excited all week for the conversation. But I just want to talk about like first off, like how you guys got started. So you moved, where are you from? You're from New York?
So we're from New York, yep. So we lived in New York, and in 2007, my husband Charlie got a job transferred. So we moved to Georgia, and pretty much we bought the house here, sold our house in New York, and probably within a month of us moving here, we were told that his transfer was delayed a year.
Oh, great.
So he went back to New York and had to rent out a place, and I moved here with Nicholas, my oldest son, and Dylan. So Nicholas at the time was 12, Dylan was 8. We moved here. We knew like one person in all of Woodstock. New York, very different than Georgia.
Yeah.
So, very fast I had to get the kids in school, make a house a home. It was November. Christmas was the next month, and I was in my mind, I was all about making, like I said, the house a home, get the Christmas tree up, take care of 187 boxes, unpack everything, do everything. So I just threw myself into everything, and before you know it, here we are, settled in the house in Woodstock.
Boom. So it started well. Yeah, no stress on the start. That's awesome. And man, how'd you guys find Strong Side?
So basically, Dylan, who we'll go into the story later about him with epilepsy, he's always been tall and slender, and he always wanted to put on muscle. So my oldest son, Nicholas, actually found Strong Side. He, who's like Dylan's best friend, knew that he wanted to put on muscle and started looking at gyms and saw Strong Side and how many great reviews it had. And, and basically told us, you guys need to go and try it. So I came in with Dylan with all intentions of Dylan joining Strong Side. I hadn't worked out in a very long time, and I put on a lot of weight when we moved here from New York. And, I walked in, I remember looking through the window and feeling very intimidated because I saw you, and, I was like, oh my God, I don't know. And Dylan was very excited, and, you came over, you talked to us, and I was hooked just watching it. Just watching through the window, I was like, I think I could probably do some of this, even though I can't touch my toes too good and this and that. But, I was intrigued by it. I've always been a strong person. So I was kind of intrigued with it. And you gave us, a week. We came, and that was it. We were hooked.
That's awesome, because I remember that. I remember being in the middle of a class, and then you guys came and peered through the window. And I mean, just anybody. I'm gonna be like, hey, if you're looking, I'm talking. Right. So, and talking to you guys, and it's so funny to think that somebody was so reserved, looking through a window, like I don't really know, to the most, everybody knows you. You're like the mayor of Strong Side now.
No, but we do love it, and we love the community. We love the people. We love you. We love the coaches. It's so much more than a gym to us, to our family. It's been wonderful. It's been a great blessing for us.
Well, you guys have been amazing. It's been awesome rocking out at 7:45,
Yeah.
8 days a week.
That does take a lot of strength to do that right there alone. Get up so early and come in, but it's determination. It's it's you put it in your mind and you do it.
And both you and Dylan have been on our Transformation Tuesday. Dylan,
Right.
he's been gaining a lot of muscle, and you've lost a good bit.
Yeah, well, I had lost, like, when we first joined, I had lost, like, I don't know, like close to 50 pounds, and everything was going well, and then COVID happened, and then I slowly creeped back, and now I'm slowly creeping down again. So it's been a journey. But it's, we've talked about this, you and I. It's coming off slowly, and you say that's the best thing. And people are noticing it. I'm noticing it in my clothes. I'm, starting to feel a little bit better. So I set short goals for myself, and hopefully we'll achieve. Well, I know I will achieve them. And from there, I'll set another goal. And you go slowly, and it works.
Yeah, small progress is still progress.
Right.
I mean, what we talked about is I was like, if you can lose 1% of your body mass per week or less, even less than that,
Right.
the chances of you ever gaining that back are very, very small.
Right.
But if you lose more than 1% of your body mass, so if somebody weighs 200 and they're losing 6 pounds a week,
Right.
there's like an 80% chance they're going to gain it all back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep. So I'm okay with it going slow as long as it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, way to be a winner. And it's probably that mentality of like what carries over to everything else in your life. I mean, most people already know that, Dylan has epilepsy and stuff like that. But dude, Dylan is a freaking winner. Love that guy. I know you do
Thank
too.
you.
But like, I mean, just the whole mindset around just not creating excuses, not being delusional, but pushing into what you can achieve.
Right.
I mean, can you educate us on like what are we even talking about?
So Dylan basically, so we moved here in 2007, like I said, and in November, and basically in February of 2008, so literally 3 months later, he had his first grand mal seizure, which now they don't say grand mal. I always say grand mal because I'm so used to it, but it's tonic-clonic, which is the same thing as a grand mal seizure. So he had his first one. I had just gotten a
So what does that mean? What is
so
that?
basically, okay, so there's going back, let me just go back a little bit further. So basically in New York, I was an educator. We moved here. I had the 2 boys. I got them in school. My whole thing was to start subbing and then get a teaching position. But somewhere along the lines, I guess God had another plan for me. And basically, Dylan had his first convulsive seizure where he fell to the ground and started convulsing. Now, at that point, my oldest son, Nicholas, was home with him. I was I went for a job interview, and basically he called me and said, I think Dylan's having a seizure. I was like, there's no way. He's never had a seizure before. Just 3 months ago, there's no way. So here I am thinking it's Georgia, Georgia weather, Georgia water. I'm not
It's
thinking,
allergies.
Yeah, it's something. So I'm not thinking it's a seizure. So brought him to the doctor, and he was started throwing up, and they said, it sounds like he had a grand mal seizure. Let's, bring him to children, CHOA. So we brought him there. They did all the tests to make sure, rule out a brain tumor and all that. That all came back good, and they said that you need to see a neurologist. He definitely seems like he had a seizure. We went to the neurologist, and he went through several different tests, and they diagnosed him with intractable epilepsy. So intractable is the same thing as refractory, which means medication does not work. It doesn't help the seizures. So we knew this, and we had to come up with a game plan. Okay, well, what are we going to do? I was in the beginning, I was so I still didn't believe it was that. So I started investigating. He went to school, and I would spend 6 hours at the library, took out every book on every medication, on every seizure, and I just educated myself about every little thing, every different seizure. So when I went to the doctors, I was prepared. I had a ton of questions, and, I asked them everything from A to Z. If I didn't like the answer, I went to another doctor and asked that doctor, and I just kept educating myself. Try to get out as many books as I can, talk to as many people as I can. With that, he ended up having more and more seizures. We started seeing different types of seizures. He was falling to the ground as he was walking. He was getting stuck. He couldn't talk. He was staring into space. He was convulsing. We started seeing all these different types of seizures. Doctors were just putting him on all these different medications. He ended up going on 23 different medications. Now, we already know that he's got intractable, which isn't going to help the seizures. But what we were trying to prevent is him having more of the convulsing ones, because the convulsing ones can lead to death. So we were in desperate mode, trying everything that we can. I went to Duke. I went to Mayo Clinic. We went to Cleveland Clinic. We went to Emory. We went to NYU, all of the top hospitals. Dylan and I would travel, and we always got the same diagnosis, intractable epilepsy. Chances are he's not going to outgrow it. Chances are he'll never drive. So with all of this, now I have to explain all of this to my 8-year-old. 8-year-old that doesn't understand a whole lot what's going on. Yeah. My 12-year-old who is, his best friend, who's scared to see his brother going through this. My husband, who's not with me, I'm alone. I'm going through all this.
Because all this is in like the first year.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So I had to be strong. I mean, normally I'm a strong person, but there was no room for me to cry. There was no room for me to say, why me? Why us? You just got to go forward. You're given cards. You just got to make the best out of the hand that you're given. That's it. You just got to go. So with that, I just taught Dylan, and, with the wonderful support that we have of our family, like I said, my entire family has been such a blessing. Nicholas has always been such his best friend. It's always helped him with everything. And even though inside it kills Nicholas to see him like this, just like it kills me to see him like this. But what's the alternative? You have to do it, So we just taught him to be strong. We taught him to keep going. One of the things with epilepsy is it affects your memory very, very bad. With that, Dylan, was having a lot of trouble in school. He couldn't remember things. And I just got on him and I said, listen, I don't want to hear you ever use your epilepsy as an excuse. This is what you got. You make the best of it. Let's go to the store. We're going to get like 500 post-it notes. You're going to post all these notes all over your books. Every time you open your books, I want to see these post-it notes all over the place, because this is what's going to help you remember. Now you have no excuse that you can't remember, because I don't want to hear that. And I would get on him constantly on it. When it came to school, I fought with the schools, because the schools want to give you very little. If you don't know a whole lot, they're not going to give you. So I went in there and I fought for everything that we got. I got him an IEP. I got him an individual aid. I got him everything he needed, just to give him an equal playing ground like everybody else. Once I did that, and he knew that, he wasn't going to stop. He was going to keep going, and there was no excuses. He just applied himself, and he kept going and kept going. He ended up graduating with honors. He's now in college, just about to get his associate's degree. He's been on the dean's list every semester, which is unheard of. People with epilepsy, you never hear great things like that, because their memory is so affected and they can't remember a lot of things. And then they fall into the I can't do this, I can't do that. He'll never be able to drive. And if you ask him about it, he'll say, you know what? You know how much money I'm saving on insurance? Like, he looks at it in a brighter, better way. Because that's how you have two choices when you're given this. You could feel sorry for him and let everybody feel sorry for him and think about, why me, why? Or you learn from it and you grow and you go strong. You get stronger and stronger. You go forward. Going backwards, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to keep going forward in life. And this is what hopefully we have instilled in Dylan. And I believe this is why he's the person he is today. There was never any excuse. Let's go. You're tired? I don't want to hear it. And I told him, you want to be on these lists? You're going to have to work 2, 3, 4 times as hard as the normal person, because this is what you have to do. Let's go. So I was not able to work because my entire, focus, everything was watching him. When you're having a child that's having 50 to 100 seizures a day, he can never be left alone. And now, now he's 21. It's hard because...
You're 21. He's 21?
Yeah.
I didn't know he hit the big 2-1 yet.
Yeah, in January. He'll be 22 this coming January. But he's 21, and it's hard because he's got to be with me at all times. At all times. He showers with the door partially open. The service dog is with him. So he can never be left alone, because as soon as he gets that convulsive seizure, we need to get the medicine in him. Because the longer he stays in it, he could go into something called status epilepsy, which he's been into 3 times, which is a prolonged seizure that you don't come out of. And that can be very deadly. So that's why it's important, as soon as he has the grand mal seizure, the convulsion, we get that medicine in him so we could bring him down, calm his brain down.
Talking about the medicine, I have very limited interaction with this, but he's had 2 grand mal seizures
Yeah.
since he's been here. And my experience with medication my whole life has been like, you know, pain management. Like if I had a surgery or if I had like morphine or Loratab or something like and then calm me down.
Right.
So you never really have true respect for what medication can do.
Right.
And when he had his first one and he's convulsing on the ground and his face is turning a little purple and he's starting to foam out the mouth, I watched you inject that medication in through his nose. Within seconds.
Right.
That thing had stopped. His eyes come back to facing forward. He starts breathing. That was like watching the closest, basically religious experience that you could ever have.
Right.
And I mean, that was medicine. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, it's kind of amazing, but I will tell you, you know, we've been lucky with his 2 here. He's also had them where we've put that medicine in and 1 or 2 minutes later, he has another convulsion atop of it, which then it slows the heart rate. I have to call the doctor to give him permission to give him another set of that medication. So it's very tricky, and at any of these big seizures can go into, again, status epilepsy where he doesn't come out. So that's always my concern. To make things even trickier, he has these seizures at night. So his last service animal, Moose, passed away in 2020, January. And, you know, that was beyond devastation because how do you say goodbye to a dog that saved your son's life so many times? But since then, Dylan's been sleeping on an air mattress in my room because he needs to be watched again during the night. I've learned to be a very light sleeper. I sleep with one eye open, because I'm always, as a parent, you know, even though he's 21, he's a man-child, I still, you know what I mean? I want to make sure he's okay, he's breathing. Because my biggest fear is, you know, they have something called SUDEP, sudden unexpected death in epilepsy. And sometimes you will pass in your sleep from a seizure at night, and they believe it's got something to do with the heart rate. But that's, of course, my biggest fear. You know, a lot of times I wake up in the morning and I'm Dylan, I just want to hear him say, okay, you know what I mean? Because that's my, you know what I'm saying? So, so he's been in the room on the air mattress. Now we're training, you know, we got this wonderful service dog, Jasper, and, you know, he's in the midst of training this dog. It'll be 2 years before he's fully trained. And, you know, he's sleeping with him at night and everything, and he's learning now. But, you know, it's definitely hard. There's always obstacles that we always have to overcome, but nothing that we can't overcome, nothing that we won't overcome. You know, I notice in life all of these things that get thrown at us, whether it's school, more seizures, anything. The journey of having it is you become stronger when you go through it. Like Dylan, I feel, is such a strong person. I feel like I am so much stronger. I feel like my son Nicholas, Charles, I feel like we're all stronger because of everything that we've been through. It made us. And a lot of times when you have something like this in the family, it can destroy you. You know, but that wasn't a question. It had to make us stronger. We had to go on. We have to just keep going forward, learn from it. And like I tell Dylan all the time, you know what? Let's educate people. Let's educate people on epilepsy. Let's educate people on service animals. Let's help other people.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
So what is epilepsy? Like, what is happening?
So basically, epilepsy is when you have a seizure, and the seizure, it's misfiring of the brain. So when you have a regular seizure, when you have a seizure, it actually is 4 times, it's overloaded. It's misfiring 4 times the normal brain. So basically, how a doctor explained it to me was, if you basically go into your house and you turn on every piece of electrical equipment you have, from the radio to the TV to the phone to everything, the dishwasher, everything is on 100, the fullest it could go. Everything that gets plugged in, everything that's electrical, that's what's happening to his brain when he has a seizure. 4 times that. So it's such an overload. And he just ends up going unconscious, and then he starts convulsing and the eyes are rolling. You've seen it.
So it would be like, because that's actually not that far off. I mean, so your brain has electricity running through it. So that analogy makes a lot of sense.
Correct.
So you have like all these nerves going through your brain. And if people don't know much about the nervous system, those nerves don't always touch or connect, and they're called synapses.
Right.
And what's supposed to happen is one nerve is supposed to send an electronic pulse to the other one, and that's how they get a signal.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying is that, it would be so much electricity passing through those nerves that in a house, the circuit breaker would just turn off.
Exactly.
And your circuit breaker turning off is having a seizure because it
Right.
doesn't know what to do with all that electricity or energy.
Right. So in a house, your circuit breaker, like I said, would turn off. This is 4 times that powerful. So that's what's happening. So through the day, he'll have, as you've seen, like the myoclonics or absent seizures or other types of seizures where he's standing there and his eyes will start to go, or he'll start to jerk a little bit. And then usually he'll have that brief interruption. So if you're explaining the class, he's got like no clue what you just said.
Yep.
Because he was having that seizure. And that's why a lot of times I'll go overtime. I'll be like, do you know what we're doing today for the workout? And sometimes he'll be like, I have no clue. I'm like, well, I was watching you, neither do I. Let's watch everybody else.
I remember that in the beginning, and it took me a while to like catch up to what was going on. But I'm like, it's okay. Just tell me. I'll say it again. It's fine.
So, but for him, I guess he wants to, he wants to make sure that it's okay. You know what I'm saying? And I told him, I said, just act. It's fine. But now we're so used to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like second nature to us now because we're so used to seeing the seizures. So like every day in my house, all you hear is if Dylan's in another room or something. You okay, Dylan? You okay? Like that's all you hear all day long in my house because you just want to make sure you get a response back. Like last night, I was just coming out of the shower and he was in the room and I'm talking to him and then I hear and I knew he was in a seizure. But you learn the sounds, so I knew he wasn't in a big seizure. But I opened the door and he was just kind of stuck. He was like stuck. And then I waited and then he was able to come out of it. And then I said, "Did you hear what I just said?" And he went, "What?" Like he didn't know anything I just said.
Yeah. So you have a seizure. We know what that is. So what's happening when let's use the whiteboard for an example. There's no physical change. He's not getting stuck. He's just kind of zoning out for a minute. What's that? What's the name of that?
So basically, there's different types of seizures. So when you have epilepsy, there's generalized epilepsy and there's partial. Partial is a part of your brain is being affected by that seizure. A lot of people that have partial epilepsy can get brain surgery to remove that part of the brain. When you have generalized epilepsy, it affects both hemispheres of your brain, both sides, the left and the right. A lot of these patients cannot get surgery because they would have to take parts of the brain out all over the place. So he's got generalized. Now, on top of that, there's intractable or the same thing as refractory, which means medication will not help the seizures. Some people have generalized, but it's not intractable. They could take medicine and it controls them. Maybe they'll have 1 seizure a week or something like that. Whereas with Dylan, he's having 50 to 100 a day. We know the medicine really is not helping. We're kind of hoping that it's helping the tonic-clonics, the ones where he's convulsing.
Okay, so what is it when you said he gets like stuck?
Yeah, so basically it could be an absent. An absent seizure is when it looks like you're staring into space. So basically you're just kind of zoned in. A lot of people say it's like daydreaming. You're just kind of looking at one place. And then myoclonic is when you have kind of body jerks. So legs twitching. Then there's facial myoclonics. Facial myoclonics are when you could be talking to him and it's twitching. His any of this happening. So that's another form of, then he has drops. Drops is when he's walking and all of a sudden he starts to drop to the ground and then he'll usually catch himself. He'll come out of it because it's brief. It's maybe like 3-4 seconds. So just so you know, epilepsy is one of the most common neurological disorders. It affects probably about 64 million people worldwide and about 3.4 people in the U.S., which is about 1.2% of the population.
Oh, wow.
Epilepsy, yeah.
Never would have thought that.
Yeah, and then out of 3 people, 2 people will never know the reason why they have epilepsy. Dylan's in one of those 2, so we've done genetic testing. We've done tons of testing. So we don't know. He was a very healthy baby, never had head trauma, ruled out any type of cancer, and we don't know why. And I've given up that fight for the longest time. I couldn't understand why, but it doesn't even matter because it's not going to change anything. So we just keep going. We just keep rolling.
So talk about that mindset. Like, what makes you so successful and driven and just pushing? I mean, like, where was this something that you had before?
I think, we grew up in a very close knit family, and my father was a very, very strong person, and he had 3 boys, and I was the only girl. And he used to say, "Lisa, you're my toughest son, always." I mean, I played hockey when I was in high school.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, I think get it from him, and I was very close with my mom. I lost my father when he was very young; he was in his 50s, and I lost my mom in 2009, and it was very, very hard. Because, I went talking to my mom 3 times a day. It was very, very difficult. But, I just keep in my mind and, they're here physically, but I still talk to them and they would want me to be strong. And I've tried to just instill that strength in both of my children because, again, you could sit there, you could think about why me, you could sit there and think about, will people feel sorry for me? I can't do this, I can't draw. But what is that going to get you? What is that going to get you? It's going to get you nothing. You just lost a day of your life feeling sorry for yourself. It's going to get you nothing. When you could have gotten stronger, thought more positive thoughts, you could have gained something, you could have learned something. Every day should be a learning opportunity for you. Every day. Every day you feel sorry for yourself. Every day you just wasted a day of your life feeling sorry for yourself, doing nothing. That you get nothing with that. Nothing.
No, I'm with you, dude. Yeah.
You get nothing with that. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Get up and do something. You want to be a better person? Make it happen. No one's going to make it happen for you. Right?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah,
so,
you are in complete control of
exactly.
Life is like 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it.
Yeah, I mean, can we control that he has epilepsy? No. Can you control what you're going to do? Your mindset? Absolutely. So let's work on the things we can control about, and let's not worry about the things we can't control about. And all the things that you go through in life, the tougher the obstacle, the more opportunity for strength you have.
Opportunity.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Dylan is strong because we wanted him to be strong, and because we would never accept any excuses. Why is that late? Well, I couldn't remember. Did you do your post-it notes? Well, did you do your post-it notes? That I don't want to hear excuses. I have made everything even playing field for you. Now take advantage of what I did for you. Go from there. Flourish.
Ooh, that's good.
Right? But that's the way it is. And I fought my butt off to get him an even playing field in school. I went up against a lot of teachers. I got him a 1-on-1. That's not hard. That's not easy to do. His high school days consist of me taking him to school, waiting for the 1-on-1 to come out. They got him, brought him to school, went to Starbucks, grabbed my coffee. By the time I came back in the parking lot, which was about 20 minutes later, I had gotten a text on my phone. He had 12 seizures. He's ready to go home. Okay, I'm already in the parking lot. Bring him on out. Go home. The next day, we did it again. Not one day did I say I'm not bringing him. I brought him every single day. We got up. I wanted him to feel as normal as possible. Let's go. You got to go to school. Let's go. Got up, brought him to school, got in there, had my cup of coffee. That's why I'm so addicted to Starbucks now. Had my cup of coffee. But, sometimes I didn't even make it back to the parking lot. And they were telling me it was time for him to go.
And you just had to push through.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And he learned. And you know what? By the... I would say very seldom did he last more than 3 hours in school, but I don't care. He went, he learned, and what he wasn't in school for, the teachers would go back and forth with him online, and he did a lot of his schooling online. When he walked, with his cap and gown, his 1-on-1 walked with him.
What's a 1-on-1?
A 1-on-1 is an aide that is there for him for his, God forbid he had a grand mal seizure or something. So she was trained what to do. She had a walkie-talkie. She called the nurse, and she'd get him on his side and things like that. With Moose, his service animal, he used to bring to school till he got a little older. Then we really couldn't bring him anymore because he was too old. But so the 1-on-1 was me there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, because again, he cannot be left alone. It only takes that one time. And, anybody that knows me knows I never leave Dylan with anyone besides our immediate family. Nicholas is me. Nicholas knows exactly what to do. He's fast. There's no, you know what I mean? He's the male version of me. I'm the male version of the female version of him. He knows exactly what to do. I know exactly what to do. We all know what to do. If he has a grand mal seizure and we're all there, we all just kind of take it. Nick will get the medicine, or I'll hold him to get the medicine administered. Charlie will get the towels to, when he's convulsing. We'll make sure something's underneath his head so if it's on the floor, he's not hurting himself. A lot of times he's hurt himself. He had to get, not too long ago, he cut his head. Another time he cut his eye. I mean, he's always getting hurt. But, it is what it is. Wipe it, get it okay, and you could keep going, That's it.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have like a whole process, like a whole family affair.
Yeah. Well, you have to be. You have to be on the same team. It's very important to be on the same team. Wherever Dylan and I go, I always have a game plan in my head. Always. We're going to Target. I'm already visualizing him having a seizure at Target, and I already know what I'm going to do. I always have a game plan. Always. Walmart, Target, 400, 85, wherever we are. He's already done it all over the world. So I already have a game plan. It is what it is. This is us. This is our life. Take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's just how you have to, that's what keeps you strong enough to be able to handle it.
That's right.
Because you're thinking about it, you're planning for it, you're dealing with it. You're like,
Right.
oh, okay, I'm not going to be delusional about it and like hope. I'm going to figure it out and plan for when.
Right. And my friends I couldn't ask for better, a group of people that we have. They all know that where I go, Dylan has to go. And if he's having a very active day, I can't go. It's just the way it is, But everybody is, wonderful, I have to say. We've been very, very blessed 1,000 times over with people in our life that, love and support him and love and support our family. And, we don't miss a beat. We just keep going, keep going, keep going. That's all you could do, and we just keep going. That's it.
That's awesome, man. Well, look, thanks for coming on today and sharing.
Welcome. Thank you.
Just your story. I think we're all a little bit smarter now because of it. I learned a lot. And just so happy to have you guys. And just thanks for everything, man. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. I hope, if anything, that I did educate anybody on epilepsy or service dogs. And, if anybody ever has any questions, please feel free to always contact us. I mean, I met another member here not too long ago. I realized their son was having seizures. And, I reached out to this person. I said, if you ever have any questions or anything, message me. I would love to help you. I wrote a children's book, a few years back, and because there was no children's book on epilepsy to explain it, so I ended up writing a book for children. And you know what I mean? It's just crazy. There's information out there, and if we could help anybody in any way, that's what it's all about: educating and helping.
That's awesome, man. Go you. Well, thanks for coming on. Let's
you.
rock and roll in the morning.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
Yeah.